What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. We got a lot of stuff going on here right now. We'll start here with this: the largest auto workers strike ever in the United States going on here right now, with no signs of a breakthrough yet here. As day four going on day five really now. GM and Ford and Stellantis. GM threatening to send 2,000 workers home. Ford already cut 600 jobs here at a plant as well. UAW was seeking a 40 to 46% raise and a 32-hour work week and going back to old pensions. All this is inevitably going to raise U.S. auto cars, SUVs, trucks. The average car here in the United States, the average car payment already over $700 a month to buy a new car. This is just going to send things even higher. Take a look at what is happening.
UAW President Shawn Fain rejecting the latest pay raise from Stellantis, the automaker calling the offer a compelling solution for protecting jobs at an idled Jeep plant in Illinois. The disagreement signaling, though, that the union and Detroit's Big Three are still pretty far from a deal 4 days into the strike. Bloomberg's David Welsh joins us from Detroit. He's our bureau chief there and has been covering this very closely with his team. David, you know, we focus so much on the pay part of their demands, but the union has asked for a lot more than just a 36% pay increase at this point. They also want to bring back defined benefit pension plans, and I believe they're still sticking to a 4-day work week. What's the status of the demands from the UAW?
So if they still want those things, the companies, if you look at their offers, that stuff's never in there, particularly the retiree stuff. They've even asked for retiree health care. Those are the two big ticket items that just weighed down the balance sheets of all three companies, played a role in driving GM and the former Chrysler into bankruptcy. Ford had to borrow $24 billion to stay out of bankruptcy. They're not going to do that. The companies will take a very long company-wide strike before they would agree to those, fixed retiree benefits. They are willing to move on pay, obviously. They're already up over 20%, and I think they'll continue to bump that, not interminably, but they will. That's something they can play with. But those other retiree benefits and the 32-hour work week, I don't think they'll budge on either one of those.
In terms of, the damage this could do to companies, when you think about handing out a 21% pay increase to so many tens of thousands of workers, you might worry that it bankrupts GM, Ford, and Stellantis. But they've done well, and it's not actually a huge part of the cost of a car, is it, labor?
No, I've seen estimates. It's somewhere between 5 and 10% is the cost of labor. There's a lot of other labor in there from the suppliers, but they wouldn't all be getting 20% raises. So, yeah, it will bring their costs up. It will bring their labor costs would definitely be uncompetitive with Toyota, Honda, Tesla, Hyundai and Kia. They'll be in a worse position. But there are two things. One, it's not the kind of money that bankrupts the companies. It eats into what are now very good profits. And two, these other companies, and we've seen Toyota do it over the years, they've had to raise compensation and improve benefits to keep the UAW out of their plants. You can't be at a $5, $8 labor disadvantage versus a UAW contract and expect your workers to not maybe listen when a union organizer comes around. So union contracts do, and they have, raise all boats. Now, they've always stayed, something under what the UAW can get to maintain the advantage, these other companies. But they will end up having to pay more as well if they want to keep the UAW out of their factories.
Yeah, so let me know your thoughts. Will these massive raises of 21, remember the unions are still seeking close to 40% raises. They were initially seeking 46% raises, 32-hour work weeks, and pensions. Right now, they're down to 36% raises. They're still seeking 32-hour work weeks in addition, and the pensions. Will this make U.S.-made cars uncompetitive? Will we see the foreign brands start to dominate? And will this lead to U.S. companies going bankrupt? Remember here that GM has had to file for bankruptcy before, In 2009, an $82 billion bankruptcy. They only had $82 billion in assets and $173 billion in liability. So they were over about $190 billion in negative assets, negative liabilities. It was the largest industrial bankruptcy in history. Just to give you an idea of what this can do to an automaker, this has already happened once. Ford CEO says the UAW proposal could force bankruptcy. Ford already laying off workers, and GM threatening already 2,000 workers. And remember that we're already seeing mass amount of companies, not even just in the auto workers industry, like, McDonald's, you go to, your grocery store, you go to Walmart, you go anywhere, you're seeing jobs be replaced by computers, by AI. You go to McDonald's and they want $15 an hour. What happens? Their jobs get replaced by a computer. Computers don't want massive benefits. They don't want pensions. They don't want health care. They don't want 401ks. They get replaced by a computer. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand people want a good wage. I would too. But you got to remember here that if this forces companies to go into massive bankruptcies, you just seen the headline that GM had the largest bankruptcy in the history of the United States. I don't know if it was the history of the world or not. Back in 2009, doesn't seem that long ago. Could this happen again? As these unions continue to push, remember that UPS just got massive raises, and now we see that UPS workers can get up to $170,000 a year when including benefits. Because remember, all these benefits, all these health benefits, all the medical, all the 401ks, and all that stuff can really start to add up. And again, all this is doing is just increasing costs for the company. So when you go to ship something and it costs more money this year, next year, the year after, or when all your packages, when you go to buy something off Amazon or Walmart or wherever it is, and the shipping fees are more money, now you will know why. Or when you go to buy a car and the average car payment is $725 a month, and this is before the massive raises that they're going to be inevitably getting, whether it's 21%, 25%, or 30%, and whatever other additional benefits they end up getting. I mean, this is at least part of why prices continue to go up. Look at what former, and again, I get it, everybody has a slightly different point of view here. Look at what former President Donald Trump said. He criticizes UAW leadership amid strike, warns that automakers' jobs are moving to China. Every time I hear Trump in China, it just reminds me of the way he says China. Former President Donald Trump warns that automakers' jobs will move to China and accuses auto workers' leaderships of failing its members. Here, take a listen to what he has to say.
Let's talk about the economy. And I want to start by talking about this big standoff between the auto workers and the big three auto manufacturers. Yeah. My question for you, Mr. President, whose side are you on in this?
I'm on the side of making our country great. The auto workers are not going to have any jobs when you come right down to it, because if you take a look at what they're doing with electric cars are going to be made in China. The auto workers are not going to have any. I'll tell you what, the auto workers are being sold down the river by their leadership, and their leadership should endorse Trump. The reason is, you got to have choice. Like in school, I want school choice. I also want choice for cars. If somebody wants gasoline, if somebody wants all electric, they can do whatever they want. But they're destroying the consumer, and they're destroying the auto workers. The auto workers will not have any jobs, Kristen, because all of these cars are going to be made in China. The electric cars automatically are going to be made in China.
So let's talk about UAW's leadership. The president, Shawn Fain, has withheld his endorsement of President Biden, but this is what he had to say about you. quote, another Donald Trump presidency would be a disaster. How would you win that endorsement?
Well, if that's the case, I probably won't win his. I don't know the gentleman, but I know his name very well. And I think he's not doing a good job in representing his union, because he's not going to have a union in 3 years from now. Those jobs are all going to be gone because all of those electric cars are going to be made in China.
So honestly, the U.S. is just in a tough pickle because our wages are just exponentially more than they are in other countries. And we're looking at, these foreign-made cars that get imported, and even some of them that are maybe made here in the U.S., but maybe aren't part of these unions. It's just a tough thing because our labor is just getting exponentially more and more and more and more. And these unions go to the table every 4 years or so. I mean, each union's kind of a little bit different. We're seeing these 46% raises from the airlines, from UPS, all these different unions, right? Even if they're not part of a union, Walmart, Amazon, right? All these different things. They want more and more money every single year, and their jobs either get replaced overseas or they get replaced by computers. And even if they don't get replaced, the consumers, average everyday people, are paying more and more and more for everything. It's a massive problem that we're seeing across the board. And this is the reality of life right now. Let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I'll keep you up to date here on all this stuff going on here on a daily basis. Let me know your thoughts here in the comments. It's crazy. New videos come out here every day. Make sure to subscribe down below. Click the bell icon. Thanks for liking and sharing these videos. Click here to see the new warning from the NATO chief that just came out here in this recent video. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.